we need to fight through the stigma of us and our product being sketchy.
On today's episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat, we talk to Adam from Get Emails. We talk about the evolution of his company, the legality behind it, and how they're helping companies build up their database to then grow their company. Let's dive right in. Cool. Well, thanks for joining on episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. Main goal is love what you guys have been doing over at Get Emails, and would love to just kind of hear your story, Get Email story, what it's about, and kind of what the future looks like in your space.
That space, the email newsletter space, it's an incredibly difficult space. There's this company, MailChimp, that everyone thinks they have a free product. They're growing fast. They have 600 million of revenue or something. They're growing faster than everybody else in the market. And their brand's unbelievable. The product's great. By the time people know it's not free, they can't be bothered to switch, right? They've just bid up all of the channels to make it really difficult to do digital marketing. A few brands have succeeded, like Klaviyo made the best one for Shopify. It was more sophisticated than MailChimp. ConvertKit did a really great job, kind of selling to bloggers and creating this viral loop of bloggers teaching bloggers how to blog, whatever. But I couldn't figure out how to grow in this space, which is really frustrating because, I think it's there's this Y Combinator. If you read their stuff, they're so focused in on growth as the key metric that you should look at, because they're so many problems are solved by growth. Burnout is because of a lack of growth. Boredom is because of a lack of growth. If your company keeps growing, then you're going to provide incredible opportunities for your good employees, right? If it doesn't, then it's gonna be stagnant. So, we got this thing to a few million of revenue and only had a few employees. So it was a great lifestyle business.
Wow.
By the way, coming out of trading and going to an office in Times Square every day and wearing a tie for 10 years, that's what I thought I wanted. Let me go live in Aspen for the winter, ski every single day, work a couple hours. It's 4-hour work week dream, right? And it didn't really start that way, but after the whole growth effort was done, it ended that way. And I did have that business and have that life, but after a while it gets really boring. And also with these tech companies, it's dude, if you're not growing, you're dying. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got to get the thing moving somehow. So I was in this position where, I'd kind of gotten that company to be managed by other people. I was spending time trying to figure out what's next, made a few big errors trying to invest in different parts of this market to compete in. And basically my attitude was well, what's MailChimp not doing? And I'd tried to do stuff that they were not doing, failed a few times in a row. And then I came across this identity market. Kind of a long story, but a friend of mine who'd been helping me out, this guy who's CEO of a company called BounceX, they were doing stuff for enterprise that was lead gen, overlays, and they had DSP and everything. And they'd gotten into this identity market, and he wanted to acquire an ESP, which is an email marketing company, because they were getting into email a lot because of what this identity resolution capability gave you the ability to do. And his customers loved what they were doing. So I asked him if we could try to resell it as a feature inside of our email marketing app. And he's yeah, knock yourself out. We don't even need a deal. Just go see if you can get traction. And if you get traction, let's figure it out. So what they were doing at the time was basically just helping e-commerce companies send more abandonment emails to people that were on their list but not logged in, right? So the most lucrative email, you're missing all these people that aren't logged in, so you can identify them and hit them with this email, then that's great. And under his breath at lunch, he's I think the real money, which our investors won't actually let us do, and our customers wouldn't either, because they're all these it's Sephora and Samsonite, these huge brands. They're I think the real money is selling people email addresses they don't have yet. So while we're trying to sell this product that no one can really understand, it's hold on, why do I want to send more email? I think it makes a lot of sense if they're already your customers and you're here's this great bolt-on feature. If you're leading with that, it's not enough to get someone's attention. But in the under my breath at the end of all these phone calls, I'd be by the way, what if I could sell you email addresses you don't have yet? And all of a sudden it's now that I'm interested.
Yeah.
So it took me about another year, finally figure out how to put all the pieces together. And so many other things, this is just stringing together a bunch of stuff that already exists in a somewhat novel way. And the original plan was, well, we want to grow this email marketing app. This is going to be a feature inside the email marketing app. I know people are going to want it because how could you not want it? Right. And that's the way we're going to get this thing growing again. The hilarious thing was, so that was like last April, we actually launched it as a feature in the email marketing app. People were signing up for the email marketing app, not using it, using this identity feature, downloading the files every day and sticking them in their email marketing app. And like, that's also, if you know, I love this, like all the Y Combinator stuff on their website. Like if you read it, they're like, there's certain signs of product market fit. Like if people are willing to endure a horrible user experience to use this product, that's one really good sign, you know? So then it was like, all right, well, this is not a good product if we're making people switch ESPs, because like the second that I start talking to you about this cool feature that my email marketing program has, you stop listening because you're like, I already have one of those. I don't care about what features you have, whatever. But like, it's a totally different deal if you go to somebody and you're like, I can sell you the email addresses of people who are visiting your website that you don't have. It's got nothing to do with anything they have already. And they're like, oh, I want that. So meanwhile, I didn't want to like, you know, steer the mothership. This is still it's a whim at this point. You know, it's definitely unproven. Like there's not enough people using this in that way to where I could be like, we should stop what we're doing over here and plow everything into this. So I'm like, how do I keep the Robley team focused on Robley and get this new thing built without really distracting anybody? So I like made a bunch of mock-ups myself, got a designer on Upwork to basically over a couple week period build all the UI. My designer, who I love, was supervising it. So she'd spend like, you know, an hour every week just like telling the girl, like, oh, adjust these pixels here. Got another person on Upwork to make it HTML. Then my dev got it. And 2 weeks later, we had a standalone get emails thing, and then started building integrations to all the ESPs. And like, that was November 4th we launched with 0 integrations. On December 1st, we spent $5,000 on Facebook ads in November. We had $10,000 in monthly recurring revenue on December 1st. It's like, holy cow. Like what just happened, you know? And it's been similarly parabolic since, which is great. And like, it's so awesome because like the product just keeps getting better too. Like all that early growth was on a product that really wasn't that great. Like we were giving people data 24 hours later than the people on their website. We were only telling them the first landing page that they hit. Right. So like to make that work as an e-commerce company, you really need you need to be a good marketer, and you need a really high gross margin product, because you need a lot of wiggle room. You know, you're just not going to convert that many people. Retargeting 24 hours later, right? 2 weeks ago, we just pushed real-time data, which is a total game changer.
I saw that.
We figured out how for Shopify stores to actually pull the cart of an anonymous user in session so that we can pass that along with the data, and you can actually just stick them right in your bin and car flow and send them the cart. You know what I mean?
Yep. So basically an abandoned cart.
This product's getting unbelievable, which is like, it's so great. Most fun I've ever had.
No, that's awesome. And love the background. I mean, that's a lot of different directions. And I mean, I'm sure it was hard to kind of swallow that pill of forget everything you've learned in the last 10 years and kind of just start fresh. I mean, was that difficult to do? To actually, I mean, it all sounds good in theory, but
like literally just deciding I wasn't going to work in finance anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot easier. So one thing I didn't say in that story was 2008, the world blew up. We killed it in 2008 and 2009 because that product was like a bear market product. If that makes sense. You make money if you're trading that stuff. It's easy to make money when the market's going down. It's just the nature of what you're doing. And then my boss thought that Europe was going to come unwound shortly thereafter. There was this idea that like Europe's way over levered. They're going to have a debt unwind, and it's going to be a correlation one down trade, just like happened in the US. So he sent a bunch of us over there. We all got short. The market rallied for a year. And like my compensation was down like 98%.
Ouch.
So it was, and then, I was dating this girl in New York at the time. I'm like, well, what am I doing over here? Like my job sucks. Like, the life that I care about is in New York. And when I got back, the government had put a bunch of regulations on the market that I was trading, and it was shrinking rapidly. So it's like, if you had a good seat, you were fine. But like, if you were trying to get back in, that's like the hardest environment to try to get back into, something where they're firing people left and right. Like, people are holding on their seats with large money. So all that is to say, I'd saved up a decent amount of money, and I kind of got pushed out a little bit. Like, the job that I would have had to have taken was not anywhere close to the job that I had before. So my whole attitude was like, well, I want to get into tech anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a year and see what it even means to start doing that. Try to talk to everybody. And I had some good connections through my friend, Josh in New York, who's the guy who started College Humor and Vimeo. So he made a bunch of introductions, and, I probably started with the wrong people. And I think back on it, the first 3 people he introduced me to were like the guy, this company BarkBox. He literally showed me the website, which was 3 weeks old. Didn't invest in that.
Dang.
The second meeting I had was with these 2 Harvard kids, started a company called Plaid. At the time, it was like a recommendation engine based on bank accounts. They just sold it to Visa for $4 billion. Didn't invest in that, like, freaking moron, right? So, this was the story of that time in my life. But like, somehow I stumbled upon this one thing that worked, and it worked good but not great, and just the lessons that came from it. Like, and it was horrible when it was happening, man. Like it's just so easy. I don't know. It's like, if you have money, it's very easy to spend it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you can like be like, whether it's investor money or your own, it's like just, and there's something also very powerful and sort of emotional about your identity and your ego when you start your first company, that compels you to do things that you would never otherwise do. Like, I somehow justified, not taking a salary for 3.5 years and putting like $50,000 a month into this company that
Dang.
like, it was fine. Like, I just would never do it. You know what I mean? Like anybody would, like, if I saw that happening now, I would make changes to assure that did not happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's so hard when you're just and we were selling a low dollar price subscription product with phones as well. And the only reason it really worked is because we had that list. And that's a bitch too, because like, it costs money to get the growth. Like, you have to hire human beings, right? So like, we knew if we got to a certain point, it'd be cash flow positive, but we also knew if we plowed more dough in it, we'd get there quicker. So what do you do? It's like the machine was proven out. So it's just like, all right, let's throw even more money in it, So, yeah, it was brutal. There were, for both, my brother was a financial partner in that thing. For both of us, there were just like substantial sort of just like, I mean, his wife was super pissed off about it at one point. And like, I was just like, it was very stressful. I mean, just unbelievably stressful, as I'm sure many people find their entrepreneurial, right?
Yeah, I'm a year and a half in, and definitely a lot of up and downs. But I mean, I wouldn't go back to a 9 to 5.
Oh well, no, not unless you have to, right?
Yeah,
never, but hope to God.
Yep, exactly. So now, I mean, with Get Emails, it's awesome. I mean, basically, it's when a website visitor lands on a website, you somehow can pull their email and then drop them into a drip campaign, whatever it may be. So I mean, I'm sure when people connect with you guys, their first question is, how is this legal? How is this possible? Are you able to get into how it's doable? I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this can like speak to a little bit of the philosophy that I had about this company in general. Like, I know that and everybody else thinks that this is a gray area product, right? When you're looking at the world of products, it's like, I'm not sure if that's good or bad or legal or illegal, but it's definitely not like, like a business that sends Valentine's Day cards to people, right? There's something that's like uncomfortable about what the product does.
Yeah.
It's invasive, right? And like, people haven't heard about it, so they don't know. So part of my posture that I took towards this thing is I was like, we're going to be as transparent as humanly possible because we need to fight through the stigma of us and our product being sketchy. So like, faces as many places as possible. All our ads are faces. All our sales is with faces. Like,
smart.
We got people sending text videos to everybody. Like, this is who we are, right? Not our company. Like, I'm Adam. I'm a real human being. I look normal. I talk normal. You know, this is what we do. So for people listening, if you go to getemails.com and the top nav has a podcast link, there's like, it's me and another person, and it depends on what the video is. We're sitting in this podcast studio and we literally go in excruciating detail answering all of the 25 or 30 questions that you could ever ask about this thing. Like, tell you exactly how it works. So I just wanted to say that. The legal part of it is, the fact of the matter is, in the US, which people don't really understand, there's a large scale popular misconception. There's a reason why, but people think that email marketing is opt-in in the US. It's not.
Yep.
It's opt-out. By law, it is opt-out. Can spam does not apply to people CCPA does not apply, the California thing. It doesn't apply to people with under 25 million in revenue, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
If you have under 25 million in revenue, you don't have to do anything for CCPA. It doesn't exist for you. If you have over 25 million in revenue, the misconception is that since CCPA is more strict than can spam and GDPR is more strict than can spam, therefore CCPA equals GDPR, which is not the case. GDPR is about opt-in email marketing. CCPA has nothing to do with it. You can't do this in Europe, right?
Gotcha.
But CCPA is about disclosure to, and there's a lot of GDPR that's like CCPA, but it's about disclosure to customers about the data you're collecting. If they want to see the information you have about them, you need to provide for them a way to do that. If they want you to delete it, you have to provide a way for them to delete that, right? So you have to set up all this infrastructure, but it's got nothing to do with opt-in email marketing. So that's the legal part. You can debate ethics all day long, and people love doing it on Facebook. Right? Like, it's just like, you're a shitbag. You know, you should be hanging from a tree. It's like, God, look, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I was trying to figure out a way to grow my other business. I figured out this product that works great for people. I got a talented team working on it. The consumers don't seem to mind because the emails perform better than people's house lists. Tell me there should be no more. Tell me there should be no more email marketing, but you can't say that this is like a horribly unethical thing to do. So there's an ethical debate, but legally it's totally buttoned up. In terms of how it works, it's literally like just two parts that are connected. One, there is an identity resolution market, which is an awesome market. It's mostly, I'm just basically bringing all this stuff to the mass market, to like little people. The identity resolution market, companies like LiveRamp and Live Intent and stuff like that, these guys have been around for a long time and they provide some really cool services. Anyway, companies like, for instance, LiveRamp have networks of cookies that are in email marketing companies. Their script is in an email marketing company's newsletter, right? So when a newsletter goes out and a customer clicks or opens the newsletter, that person gets a cookie put in their browser, and that cookie has a de-identified email address or a hashed email address or an MD5. Those are all synonymous terms. The point of those is so that the advertising networks can follow that person, watch their behavior, and market to them in a de-identified, non-personally identifiable way. The world was okay with that. What you're not supposed to be doing, what we're doing, is decrypting that encryption.
Gotcha.
Right? How do you do that? Because, well, MD5, all these encryption languages are one way, right? There's just, you can pop an email address into a web page that says MD5 conversion. If you pop my email address, adam@getemails.com, it'll convert into MD5 the same way every time, right? So if I have a bunch of MD5s and I want to find out what the email addresses are, if I just have all the email addresses on the other side, right? If I can make a database of every email address in the world, then I just encrypt them and I just do a VLOOKUP and it's that simple.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's matching up this identity technology with basically a huge database of third-party opt-ins from lead gen sites these guys that have it in their privacy policies that they're going to sell your data 9 ways to Sunday. They're looking to monetize it any way they possibly can.
Yep.
And it's just a VLOOKUP, and then you immediately just like pump it into the person's email service provider.
That's amazing. And this all started November of 2019 or 2018?
November 2019, we launched this as a standalone product, but it was a feature inside of the ESP for 6 months prior.
Yeah.
Right. So we were kind of like, proof of concept. Like the reason I was so confident that it would do so well is because we were doing these customer interviews and people were like, this is an 11 out of 10. I've never seen anything like it.
This is it.
I mean, like it solves our biggest problem. We need to grow our list. So yeah, it was like, it wasn't like it went from idea to launch in like a few weeks. The idea was like 2 years ago when I was talking to my buddy. It was actually December of 2016 that the idea got put into my head. I'm like, man, that would be awesome to sell as part of an ESP.
Yeah.
And then in 17, I got the balls to ask him. No, in 18, I got the balls to ask him if I could sell it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't get the balls to ask him if I could sell it till 19. A year and a half went by to when he told me about it. To where I went in January of 2019 and I was like, dude, can I try to sell this?
Yeah.
And then there were a few months where I got no traction. I figured out how to do it basically without them, because they weren't going to let us do this anyway. Their investors would not condone it. And then put it in the ESP in April, and then 6 months later launched this thing. And it's been around for like almost 7 months now. And it's just figher. Yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, it seems like user growth just has been exponential.
I mean, I started out with like probably a bigger team than most startups could possibly start, especially if you're trying to bootstrap, because there were people that were working on Robly. So there was this period when I basically, the move I had to do was separate all of us from when it really, after that first month, it's like, okay, this is going to work. Right. So like I spent the last quarter of last year prying the two teams apart and getting the right people on the Robly side to where it was self-sustaining, but that thing was generating a ton of cash. So it funded a day one squad of me, my CTO, like this girl who's unbelievable at product and customer support, this girl who's a complete badass at sales. Then 6 weeks later, we hired, and another developer who's over in Spain building integration starting day one full time. So it was 6 on day one. And then we hired another girl 6 weeks into it because there was just so much inbound from these Facebook ads I was doing that we like had to have, this girl needed to our other one needed to focus on outbound, like mid-market enterprise. So yeah, it's like a team of 7. It hasn't grown. We grew revenue. We grew our MRR 55K the last 30 days.
Jeez.
I spent 24,000 on ads. It's crazy. It's just like, I've never heard of anything like it. You know what I mean?
It's like a faucet.
Yeah, it's great. It's super fun. Hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face.
Hey, got to keep on keeping on until
it's all illegal tomorrow. And then I would be, basically the plan is, this is very easy for me to explain to people why they want it, which is why it's going so well and the ads work so well. What we need to do is figure out other things in the identity resolution market that are valuable to larger companies. And my hunch is that there's something weird with Google and Facebook custom audiences, right? Like you can't have those audiences. Like you have to pay for them again and again every whatever it is, 90 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have no control over who they're pixeling. You know what I mean? Like if you look like audience, you can't filter. So like my hunch is that I could sell to larger companies because they're buying data for custom audiences from like Axiom and stuff, from like data companies that look at broad user behavior, right? Why would the best custom audience for an enterprise retailer not be the most engaged users on their website?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Why would a lookalike audience of them not be the best audience they could get? And you literally can't get that from someone who's not an identity vendor. And the only identity vendors are these super enterprise $100,000 a year software companies, right? So the hope is that, this lasts 3, 4, 5 more years actually selling PII And in the meantime, we figure out all these other uses for the data that will allow us, like, give us a path up market. You know what I mean?
Outside of just list growth, I mean, what are other ways that people are using the data? I mean, there's a couple different ways that I can think of. I mean, like you mentioned, lookalike audiences, but do you have any use cases and how some of your clients have used the data?
I think the most straightforward is just like, once we get the ability to do the carts, like the easiest sale in the world is just like, hey, e-commerce company, do abandoned carts to people who aren't on your list yet.
Yeah.
Like every company will do that. Like if they don't, they're stupid. You know what I mean? Like an abandoned cart is worth more than 25 cents per person. Like it just is.
Oh yeah.
Then, you know, for the e-com use case, it's just sending more targeted triggered email, right? Like, then the custom audience thing is big. I can't wait till we start scoring the contacts on our end. So you can like set up this little filter. It's like, do I want my 50% most engaged or my 5% most engaged? And integrate with the social platforms and DSPs and have all that happen automatically. I think that's going to be sweet. Right now it's manual, and we're not passing information that would, what you would have to do to do that is like, if you're scoring them in your ESP or your CRM, like you could take our list and then cross-reference it with a lead score from Klaviyo or whatever and do it. The publisher use case is an interesting one. A lot, you know, the publishers that sell their reach, they're like local magazines. Marin Magazine was this first customer interview we did, and they're like, dude, you don't understand. We literally sell JV newsletter takeovers for $100 CPM. So if we have 33,000 contacts, we get paid $300 for the newsletter. And they're like, it costs us $2.50 to get a subscriber for Marin on Facebook, and you're selling us emails for 25 cents. So these are 10 times cheaper than our next best alternative. We're always battling with attrition, and the ROI, it's like a 2 cent payback on this thing.
Yeah.
2.5 cent payback. So that's an interesting one. I think publishers will end up being our best and biggest and most, you know,
makes sense.
Stick. But the problem is they're in general a lot harder to sell to than like a fast moving e-com person. Like you know, I wouldn't say that they're mid-market or enterprise, but like a venture backed, or like, you know, a lot of these e-com entrepreneurs, they live online. Like they're starved for growth. You know, they're just looking for it however, wherever they can. So it's just a lot easier to sell to them for the first 6 months. And then there's a really interesting application, which I'm trying to test right now. I was very excited about it yesterday because I got some conversions and I didn't get any today, but Yahoo has a sponsored mail ad, right?
Yep.
So, and this is like, you know, there's, I don't want to call them the spammer spaces, but there's a lot of spaces where deliverability is challenging, you know, like investment or mortgages, or like, you know, it's just hard to get in the inbox because there's so many spammers. So this allows you to pump in a customer list of Yahoo, Hotmail, AOL, all those email addresses, and they'll literally put your ad as the top email in the inbox. They'll say it's an ad, but it's not like Google where you're only in the promotions folder. You're at the top of that person's email that you're trying to send the message to. You know? It's CPC, so you're only paying for performance, which is a very interesting thing. So that's something I'm trying, you know, all this stuff is amazing. It's just like, how do you get people trying it all, right? So
yeah, what channel? I mean, it sounds like you're expanding channels. I mean, would love to hear what was it that you did on Facebook to, I mean, what you mentioned, 5,000 in investment, 10K the first month, which is obviously reoccurring. So I mean, huge ROI there. I mean, how'd you see that success?
I will qualify this by saying that I think product is like the most important thing these days, and like product market fit. And I think our product is very easy to explain. It's just easy to understand. So the first video I did was literally like a digitalmarketer.com. I watched their training for how to do a video sales letter, and I just copied it. And then I paid $1,000 for this girl to do word art on Upwork, and it was awesome. And I put music in the background, and it looked and felt great. And it was like, what if, it's just music. What if I told you I knew exactly who is on your website? Not only that, I could give you email addresses that are not on your list yet. And it just, it was like a minute and a half of that. And it like crushed, like really beyond what I ever expected. But the interesting dynamic, which has been here the whole time, is we have a freemium model, right? You can sign up, put the code on your site, and see data without even putting a credit card in. Most people don't pay us. So like out of every 100 people that sign up, we only get like 50 of them to put the script on, because it's just the nature of the nature of a premium product, right? Like people are like, I don't really care. Of that 50 people, like 50 people left, like 30 of them are kind of too small for it to even be valuable, right? Like if you don't have traffic, it's not valuable. If you're only getting a lead or two a day, like, dude, like this really works for people who are getting like 50 a day, 100 a day, 250. Like they can crush it on this. And we give volume discounts too. So like the ROI equation looks better. So basically the dynamic is someone comes in once a week and just pays all the ad spend back immediately with their first subscription buy. And that's kind of been the dynamic the whole time. So we had this one customer, Prophecy Newswatch, like he signed up day 3 off of a Facebook ad. He's still a customer. He's paid us like $70,000.
Jeez.
I haven't spent $70,000 on Facebook the whole time. Like this one guy, and we just keep getting one whale every week or two. And that's the ROI dynamic that does it. So it's the good fortune of having a product that is easy to explain and people want. And the fact that, our lowest subscription is $19. The highest paying guy right now is $20,000. And like we're making most of our money off the big guys, right? So, but the reason I love this, even if you know that you're going to do that and go after this like kind of market where they're paying you in the thousands, I love having this freemium model because the awareness effect is so good, Like if you can get it to pay for itself, you're just reaching, like the small guys know bigger guys, you know what I mean? And if you have an interesting product, people start talking about it.
I think the key there is, it's very simple to explain what problem you solve, and it's a huge problem that a lot of people have. And I think it just boils down to just knowing what solution you bring to the table and just articulating it very quickly. That's how I got onto what you guys are doing is Facebook ad. And so, so have you, what are you doing to try and get more enterprise level users?
Man, trade shows are like amazing for us. Just because still most people have not, if they've heard of it, they know that the vendors that they work with are like contracts, 100,000 a year, whatever, right? Like they're even in this space. And those vendors are not like selling PII. They're not selling personally identifiable information. A big enough company will not do that because there's substantial brand risk and they don't want to piss their consumers off. There's a certain mindset where people are just kind of like, dude, we're here to grow. Like, we don't think that this is pissing the consumer off. We'll do it. So trade shows, we were planning on that being our almost like exclusive growth route for larger companies because we went to 2 of them in the fall. And, it's like you get one $5,000 a month deal and that pays for your entire experience the first month, and then they stick around and, whatever. So the hurdle is low on those working, and anybody at these trade shows that's we're excited about meeting, like they're at that level, right? They're paying multiple thousands of dollars a month. So COVID totally stopped that, right? And Diana's doing a bunch of outbound email. It hadn't gone great, but recently, like, dude, I have been crushing Facebook with these ads. Like, just it's borderline spamming people. But my attitude was, if I take the same like kind of 1 million person combined audience and I do a different ad every single week, and it's me and my girlfriend and they're amusing, like people start expecting the ads, right?
Yep.
Which is amazing. People are expecting you to sell them. So I think those have actually like, and I take Diana's list and I make lookalike audiences out of them too, right? So I think like the cold email's working better, but I also think that we have much more of a brand now just because, like 100,000 people have watched 100% of one of the videos since we launched, which is a lot, man. You know what I mean? Like for that's just great reach. So the cold email's been working a little bit better. The trade shows, when they start happening, I have confidence they'll work great. But also we get some big deals from just these ads, which is nuts,
No, that's cool to hear. So the trade shows, is it the fact that they're actually meeting you that helps sell it, or the demo, or is it that there's no awareness, or a little bit of everything?
So I'm good friends with this girl who she ran digital at Uniqlo. She quit, and now she's like helping her husband with this family business they have. He's got wellness centers. He's a doctor. And I was talking to her about the product over New Year's. We were in South America together. And she's like, okay, let me tell you how sales in this market works. And it's e-com, it's not publisher, but like a lot of they share these like New York-y, like e-com and publisher people, they share the same email. Email for a large publisher is not that different than email. Running audience for a large publisher is not that different from running audience for a large e-com business. It's the same network of people. And she's like, you got to go meet you. Here's how you sell to them. You meet them, you make yourself known. Like you learn who all the important people are. You get to know them all. And then if your product's good, they buy it. There's no other way. Like you're not going to get in there emailing people. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and I really do think there's some magic to face. I don't know if these virtual conferences people are putting together are as effective or not. I kind of feel like they might be. I haven't agreed to do any because like the one that we got pitched on, it was like going to cost us $15,000.
Oh, wow.
For four or five meetings or something like that.
Yeah.
It just seemed crazy to sit on a Zoom call. 15 grand. You know what I mean? It's like,
yep.
Okay, you pamper me with like a ski trip to Vail or whatever. Maybe I can get my head around that, but like sitting on a Zoom call for 15 grand, like I don't think I can do it.
It sounds like you have some experience in the programmatic space, but there's a couple platforms where you can do like geo fencing and target people that have been to trade shows in the past. I'd be interested to use that method that you're using. I love the new ads every week. It just keeps top of mind, and I think that's where most people go wrong is they run one creative to the same audience for 2-3 months, and that's where.
Yeah, I think I'm getting to the point now where I'm cooking the audiences a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I just was Helen, the girl in the ad. She actually does PR for us. We were talking about these ads because she's working with a coach, and the coach was like, "Well, that's really interesting. Like, why do you think they're working so well?" And I was like, we just learned something pretty recently about this Facebook machine, and it shouldn't have been that big of a surprise. But like, my original intention was like, okay, we're just going to do this. We're going to be amusing. We're going to be likable.
Yep.
We're going to give information about the product that answers questions and that we know everybody has, and it will just warm this audience up. Then we made one that's like, and this is like 10 videos in, right? And my whole pattern was like, I'm going to turn them on a Monday. I'm going to try to maintain a $50 sign up price.
Yeah.
And then when it goes to $100, I'll just turn it off and put a new one up the next week. And that worked. And it was like, 8 or 9 in a row. And then I did one that was like, the first question everybody asks is, how is Get Emails legal?
Yeah.
And like, we normally would get, 40, 50 signups at $50. That one got 250.
Wow.
We normally get 40 or 50 comments. That one got 900.
Jeez.
Right? So it's just like, holy shit, like, what is it? The creative was very good. It was, to be fair, it was like Helen was waving around these flags and like, she was holding up a can of Spam and like, it was just amusing.
Yep. But
like, that wasn't why it did so well, right? Like, people were up in arms about this, how it should be illegal, how it's not ethical. Like, there's something about what we're doing that if you don't like it, you don't like it in a very strong emotional way. Like, you think it's like an invasion of privacy that's symbolic of a lot of other things that are wrong in the world, and you want to talk about that rudely, right? Facebook loves this, right? So interestingly, so there's a couple things that happen. One, we may have pulled people forward that we wouldn't have otherwise converted. But like the next week, I thought the one we did was amazing. Like, we did rhymes about open rates, like fucking poems. You know what I mean? Like, it was so funny and good. Nothing, right? Like 30 signups, like $115 a sign up or something. Then I'm like, you know what? All these motherfuckers are calling me unethical. I'm going to go through every single comment and pull out every reason that people say this is unethical and make a video about why they're wrong. Right?
That's genius.
Guess how that one did?
Crushed it.
Over 1,000 comments, over 200 signups, subscription price or back down, sign up price back down. Right. And then the one that's running right now, I don't know if you saw it or not, is fucking hilarious. I got Helen. So basically, a lot of people are saying in that ethical one, they're like, you're an asshole because you know this is unethical, and I don't even know what you do, but you're leading with this. And then I have to explain, like, dude, this is the 15th video I've made. Like, I'm just like making them, answering questions from this video. So I'm like, let's just make a totally top of funnel one again. In this top of funnel, and I'm like, but you know what? Like, leaning into this thing about it being bad is actually a really good thing. So the headline is Adam Robinson, genius or criminal. One thing's for sure, get emails is so bad. And it's her being really sexy, being like, hey, you bad boy, tell me what get emails does, like, still on these signs, she's like, criminal or like whatever. And there's another one, it's like, or just an asshole. He's being such a bad boy. It's fucking hilarious. And it's actually, despite the last one crushing, it's doing really well too. But I think that one's more creative than controversial, but it's got this element of, and look, I would never do this for our other brand. I think like,
it's having that identity and knowing it.
If you have a brand that's controversial, there's a few ways you can handle it. You can try to tiptoe around the fact that it's controversial, or you can just
lean into it
full force, be like, get emails, ... It's so bad. Like, who says that about their brand? So now what I think I'm going to do with these ads, so we're going to like create this whole YouTube video funnel that we're like, that one's the one that gets, I haven't hit YouTube yet.
That's what I was waiting to ask. Have you tried YouTube? I think you would crush it.
I'm told, I don't really know how it works. I hired an agency to help me out because I want to stop actually serving the ads, and I think they'll be better at it. But you can actually put videos in a funnel. So we can serve that one as the top of funnel. This is what Get Emails does. It's so bad. And then the first question everybody asks is, why is it legal? The second question everybody asks is, how's it work? And that was a really good one too. Third question everybody asks is like, what are the opens? And you can like put these all in sequence and hit people one after the other, which I think will be great. And then I think on Facebook, I'm just going to, since I know that this, and it's kind of trolling, but like when you look at the numbers, it's like you have no choice. You know what I mean? Like, do I want to pay $150 a customer and get 30, or do I want to pay 50 and get 200? It's like, I'm going to say the stuff that gets people talking about it. You know what I mean? Like,
the numbers don't lie.
So so my next 7 videos are going to be like, on Facebook, it's going to be like, number 1, the first thing you guys blew up at me about ethics is how I said this isn't spamming and you think it is. I'm going to tell you why it's not. And like, even though I think that what I'm saying is true, I just know that people's heads are going to explode. You know what I mean? Like when you sit there and say that you're selling third-party data to somebody and it's not spamming, like, it's going to be like, you're such an, whatever. The second thing you were saying is that I'm an asshole for exploiting a legal loophole as an entrepreneur. Like, do you realize that Google does not pay taxes?
Yeah.
Do you realize that Airbnb operates they operate in New York by saying that a host has to be there? Like, do you realize that Uber is illegal in like 25% of the countries they operate in? Right? Like, why are you so upset about this?
Yeah. Yep. No, I totally agree. I think you'll crush it on YouTube. Another thing to maybe check out, have you ever heard of OTT?
No.
So it's advanced TV. Essentially, you can serve ads on like Hulu, Roku, all that stuff, YouTube TV. But you could literally using Axiom. So we use something called Choozle, but there's like 10,000 different data partners, but you could target, Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 1000 companies, but same thing as what you're talking about on YouTube, where you can lead with the video and retarget with another one. But the beauty is you can also retarget those people with banner ads or audio ads, and drive. So it's like, so you're literally only reaching those. You could target C-suite level people and particular channels like CNN or Fox News, whatever it may be, and then serve these TV commercials and then retarget them. Same thing, you could actually use them to retarget website visitors as well. So if you have a dedicated landing page for enterprise level people, anyone that lands there, you could have it hidden. Anyone that lands there, you can retarget them and serve them these TV ads. And dude, CPMs are only like 30.
Those TV ads?
What's that?
You can put a customer list in those TV ads.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. That the list that you have, you can do that and create a lookalike audience from that list as well. It's if you fold in the social, the YouTube, I think even doing custom intent, custom affinity audiences on Google as well. But fold this in, now you're like virtually everywhere, and people will start just seeing ads everywhere and have that omni-channel approach. And I think the awareness would just go nuts.
I think so too. That's a great tip.
If you roll it out, I'd love to hear how it goes.
All of this nonsense on your TV, like a selfie video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. We're producing some videos for that where we're doing the same thing, sequential messaging, and just kind of getting our story out in 30-second segments and kind of getting creative. Like, hey, now that you've seen this one, you're going to start seeing banner ads and the next iteration of our commercial, and really leaning into it. And dude, and the crazy thing is the CPMs, you're only looking at $35-$40. It's brand new. It's going to go way up. It's out of the total TV budget. It only accounts for like 15%. So, it's only a matter of time before CPMs go up, but it's legit.
Sweet. That's a great tip. I'm so glad that I did this just for that.
Awesome. So what you've seen crazy growth as we kind of wrap up. What does the future look like for you? What are you doing? What does the near future look like for the company?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like now it's just, we're cash flow positive. We're growing really fast. The plan is to just plow it all back into growing faster, Mm-hmm. And I've kind of said this the whole time. It's like, from what I read about what product market fit really feels like this is all the signs, right? But like, there's still a couple problems. Like the churn's high because like, look, we're not actually sending the emails and we don't get to pick who signs up. So like, there's just some bad fits and there's people who don't know how to market. So like, some people are going to try it for a couple months and it's not going to work. So our first couple month churn is higher than like, my other business or whatever. So if we can figure that out, then this can be a really big business if it stays legal. Another big challenge is like Google's phasing out third-party cookies. Mm-hmm. That's how we do the ID piece right now. So I've got to figure out, there's other ways to do it, and there's other products in the market that work. Apparently they work just as well. I don't know, because I haven't actually tried them.
Yeah.
They just have another sort of system for identifying people. That's a big hurdle too. But like in terms of the future, I don't know, like I haven't had this first business I started was a really nice cash flow business. It would be nice to have an exit, and then it feels like I'm just playing now. Like it's just, I got another business that I don't even operate that's paying the bills. And like, this is just like, I'm separated from the financial part of it. Yeah. But it would also be nice to just have an exit and not worry about it. Ultimately, like that's the dream for an entrepreneur, I think. So that would be nice at some point. I don't know. I tell all my friends, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, but like, this is crazy.
No, you guys have, figured out something huge. That's what everyone is always trying to figure out. How can you grow your list to then just work more leads? And you guys did an amazing job figuring out how to kind of crack that nut without having someone having to fill out a form. So, it's huge.
Thanks.
I'm excited to see how you guys kind of grow as you move forward as well. I mean, like I said, love the ads. I mean, you guys do a good job on the creative. I mean, that's what first caught my eye, and yeah, you guys tip my cap to you on that.
Thanks, man. Well, I'm happy to hop back on anytime if you want to do a periodic update.